Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Weeknights. And man, we got a lot to talk about. But first, introductions. I'm JD, aka He Who Pods. Glasses on today. So, aka Rearview Mirror as well.
And I'm Dash, aka Dashing D, aka the real king of R&B.
All right. Well,
Okay.
oh man. Today's a rough pod. Rough topics today. Really interesting stuff. Start with TikTok. Well, we've been up here talking about TikTok, the TikTok ban, the TikTok sale for a long time, and
Oh yeah.
finally we may have some answers. And so this comes from Earn Your Leisure. This says TikTok's US operations are expected to be overseen by a new company controlled by an investor consortium that includes Oracle, Silver Lake, and Andreessen Horowitz. I don't know how to pronounce that. Andreessen Horowitz, I think is how you pronounce it. Under a framework currently being finalized by the US and China, the proposed structure would give US investors an estimated 80% ownership stake, with the remaining shares held by Chinese investors. The new entity would have a board primarily composed of American members, including one appointed by the US government. TikTok is preparing to transition US users to a separate app with its own algorithm and data infrastructure. Oracle would manage user data at its facilities in Texas. While details of the agreement are still being negotiated, Trump signed an executive order delaying enforcement of a 2024 law requiring divestment of Chinese ownership in TikTok until December 16th, and also announced an agreement to allow TikTok to continue operating in the US under the proposed structure.
Are you if TikTok is in on a separate in a different place, which that's what they're saying, right? Are you gonna download it?
So here's my conflict, and this is going to be political. Um, my conflict is Oracle is part of this ownership group.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are new here, welcome. But if you were here for our Larry Ellison episode, you know that Larry Ellison owns Oracle. And you know that Larry Ellison has a lot of power and also ties directly to the CIA. That concerns me a lot. And so I don't know if I'll be on this new US version of TikTok. I would like to be, but I need more information. It's pretty clear based on that right there what is going to be happening, because if Oracle is controlling our data and
Mm-hmm.
housing our data, that tells us a couple of things, and the things that tell me are really nasty. Now, I will be honest, we're all on Facebook and Instagram, and today it's the same thing. So
Yeah.
we have to ask ourselves some questions, because if you are on any of the apps today, you're giving a billionaire and the US government your data. That is just the truth of it all. And so we know Meta and we know X/Twitter are owned by tech billionaires who are cool with the dude in the White House. And yeah, it's true that the owner of X and the president have had sort of a split, but it doesn't really change the things I'm saying. So um, I don't think any platform is safe today. If you're worried about your data, your privacy,
Mm-hmm.
um, and a list of other things, so one could say it's no different. Um, but I'm always torn when these things happen, and
Mm-hmm.
so I have to think on it. I don't have a straight up yes or no right now. I do have a lot of concerns. But again, one could say if you're on Meta and their platforms, this is no different. And I can understand those who say that as well. I'm not going to be dishonest on our platform here. I'm also not an idiot. I know what happens with our stuff on these other platforms.
Yeah. Uh, And that's why I ask, because, well, I ask for two reasons. That, I think, is the biggest one. There's a there's no way to get around it. The Every time you sign up for one of these apps, it kind of is what it is. It's in their terms and conditions. In order to use it, you're opting into something, even though there are things you can opt out of on the internet. For the most part, just by virtue of you using something, you've already
Right.
opted in.
Yep.
So there is that, and that also gives me pause. But I think the other thing that I was thinking about was, there's just, I think that there will always be something, right? There will always be the new, now, next thing. But at the
Mm.
same time, I'm just wondering if this will not be that. You know what I mean? People were very fatigued when TikTok got shut down at the end of the year, beginning of the year, whenever it was,
Beginning.
and then was turned back on. And people, for what was it, like a week, where I don't even think it was a week, it was a couple days where people did not have access to TikTok. And I think that people started to reimagine what their social presence looked like. And that idea of, oh, well, I can catch a lick on TikTok, even though I don't have anything going on Instagram or wherever, that kind of got debunked, right? A lot of people were like, you can't just put your eggs all in one basket, because a lot of people are trying to post to make money or post to gain something. It's very much transactional for a lot of people when they're posting on these social media sites. So I just wonder what it looks like, knowing that people had such fatigue about that. And people did return to the app and use it, those who did. But then what does it look like when it's a whole new app that you have to download, that you have to sign up for? I'm wondering, are people going to do it? Or are people going to say at that point, not really worried about that anymore. I'm going to do this other thing, or whatever the new thing is, or the old thing, because sometimes it's getting the old thing back. Like, there's a lot of people who have more of a presence on Instagram today that they didn't a year ago because of all of this. So I'm curious to see what that looks like. As far as will I use it, I don't know. I have a very complicated relationship with social media anyway. I just kind of don't. I post, but I don't post. I kind of hide in plain sight on social media, if you will. Like, I'm there, and everyone knows I'm there. I do this podcast, and all y'all see the clips. It's I'm not on social media, but I'm also um, not an avid poster when it comes to me specifically. So I don't know what I'll do. I think for me, I got to be honest, and maybe this will make me sound like a follower, but I kind of have to see which way the pendulum swings first. If
Got it.
if it is beneficial to have it because that's where the masses are, then yeah, I'll probably download it and I'll probably use it.
Mm.
I think you have to make those choices these days when social media is such an integral part of everything we do. It's kind
Yep.
of hard not to. I'm not one of the millennials that it's like, oh my gosh, I hate it. I hate it. You put all your lives on the internet, and that doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? So I'm not I don't think it's silly, is what I'm trying to say. So I have an interest in it. I just don't know. I don't know what that will look like for me until I see what people are doing by and large, because I think that also dictates business. It dictates where we post our clips. It dictates, like, there's a lot. Um, like I said, it's transactional for a lot of us. So I think at that point I'll decide. But I do not like the monopoly of it all. But we talk about it all the time, and I bring it up all the time that honestly, everything that we buy into is a part of some sort of monopoly.
Yeah.
So
Um, you know, I think most people will bitch about it, but download it anyway. That's
yeah,
my opinion. I think a
yeah.
lot of people, once this is finalized, whether that's next week or at the end of the year in, a couple months,
Hmm.
or even if it's the beginning of next year, even if it's like, oh, it's not gonna happen till middle of January, I think people are gonna start bitching, and they'll be on the new app anyway. That's my opinion. That's truly what I believe. I don't think people are going. And now there's always going to be a slice, right? There's always going to be a small percentage of people who say, "I'm not going to the new app. I'm going to go to another app that I used to use, or I'm going to go to YouTube or whatever." Excuse me, whatever. Yeah, there's always going to be a small percentage of that. But I think by and large, people will bitch, but will still move to the new one.
Agree. Definitely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's change lanes here for a minute. And let's talk about something else that happened recently.
Hmm.
Um, so on the It Is What It Is podcast, I want to pull up this clip. Um,
Oh yeah, it all goes downhill from here, huh? The
yeah,
TikTok news was probably the best thing we had to say, and that wasn't. That's not saying much,
well, I
right?
think this is good in a way, and that's why I
No, it's
wanted to
good.
speak about it. So,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
um, on the It Is What It Is podcast or show, I don't know what's the better way to say it, but on It Is What It Is, Cameron and Mace show.
Hmm.
They had a guest, Adrian Broner,
Hmm.
and I'm not gonna play the clip, at least not the whole thing. I can play some of it if you want. You can let me know, co-host. But
Yeah,
Cameron did something that I think is worth discussing. What'd you say?
I say you don't need to.
Okay, cool. So I won't. But Adrian Broner was up there, and he kept making remarks at, I believe her name is Stat Baby, and Cameron warned him a few times, saying like, "Hey man, you gotta relax. We told you that's not acceptable." And Adrian Broner continued to say things about Stat Baby. Now, he was not dissing her, for those who are not aware, but what he did do was he continued to sexualize her and say that, like, he's just he's mesmerized by how sexy she is. Um, so Cameron warned him a few times, and then he continued.
And
And
Cameron even
Cameron
said,
escorted him.
"Oh, sorry. I thought
No,
this
go.
was I thought this was relevant." But Cameron even says, pretty sure he says that her boyfriend is there.
Yes.
He points that out. I mean, for whatever that's worth, right? But I think that spoke to like a code of ethics between men, right? Yo,
That's one part.
her man is in the building, so you know, at the very least, I'm telling you to stop. But at the very least, her man is around. So could you at least have respect for him if you're not gonna have respect for her? I feel like that was kind of what that was. So and he
It
still
was
it still didn't.
also it was also, hey, this could escalate,
Right,
right?
right.
Because
Yes,
not only am I
definitely.
telling you to stop, but we don't know Stat Baby's man.
Right.
I don't anyway. And so we don't know his temper. We don't know how he deals with disrespect. He could want to put hands and feet on Adrian Broner. So that's also what it was, because some people won't stop without a reason that will. Some people need to be threatened to stop.
Yes.
It's not a good thing. I'm not
No.
saying it's good, but there is a
No,
person,
but
there are a group of people in this world who feel like if there's no physical consequence, I'm still going to do what I want to do.
right.
And so it was also that where, hey man, there could be consequences to this more than just my words. So that's also the underlying thing that is. To some men, you need that, they need to hear, oh, I could get in a
Yeah.
fight or beat up or blah 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 because of this. Now maybe I should chill. So it
Right.
was also some of that. Again, not saying this is a good train of thought.
No.
I'm only explaining what the other underlying thing was here.
I think you're
So
absolutely right.
Cameron, yeah. So anyway, he kept going, and Cameron told him, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you for your time," and pulled out a purse and pulled some money out of the purse. It was a purse.
It was his
Tell
money
me it
bag.
wasn't a purse, but it was a
It,
purse.
it looked like a
It
purse. It
wasn't a
looked like
tote
a
bag.
large. It looked like a large wristlet.
It wasn't a tote bag. It was a purse. So
It wasn't a
I'm just
tote. No,
saying.
it wasn't a tote bag. It was definitely it. Like that's. I'm agreeing with you. I'm saying it looked like a large wristlet.
Okay,
It even had the little ring to carry it.
there you
I
go.
used to hate them
I
bags,
just
but a
want to
lot
be
of the
clear
girls like those
because this
bags.
right. Yeah, I just want to be clear. It wasn't a backpack. It wasn't a tote bag. It wasn't a fanny pack. It wasn't a what's the shit from um Hangover? It wasn't a satchel.
A satchel.
No, it wasn't a satchel. But anyway, Cameron went in the purse. He pulled out some money. He said, "Listen, I'm gonna pay you for your time.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you coming up here. I don't want you to feel like your time is wasted, but you
Mm-hmm.
gotta go." And not only did he say you gotta go, but Cameron physically got up and walked him out of the building. And it's all on film.
Right. Because I don't know if he
Go
took
ahead.
it seriously at first. Because he was like, yeah, but he was still sitting there. And Cameron was like, no, I'm going to give you some money because your time is valuable. But, we're done. This is over. I don't see anything
So why do I
wrong with
think
what
this is
happened. The
important
money
to
was weird,
discuss?
but sorry. Go for it.
I think the money was important because maybe he was gonna pay him, maybe he was not.
Out of his
But
pocket,
this
though?
is a way. Well, there's ways to get reimbursed later on. But I think what's important is for the money part is to let you know I do value your time. And even if you were here for free before, we still going to make sure you get paid. So that way things can stay on an even keel. And there's no reason to have commotion afterwards.
Thought a little different.
Because, how'd you see it?
Well, I feel like it's I feel like it's a power move. Like, I understand that, he's saying respect and I value your time and whatever, but also to ask somebody to leave and pay them, I feel like, how do I explain it? It's like I really don't need you here. Like you were here and that was cool, but honestly, it not important enough for me to try to stick this out.
I think I agree in a sense. I agree with the last part, not the not important enough part. I agree, not worth me sticking this out because you're disrespecting my co-host and my friend.
Yes.
And so let's get you up out of here. Which is really why I brought this up to begin with.
Uh-huh.
We often hear that women struggle in male dominated spaces. We often hear that women are not being defended by their male co-hosts on podcasts. We often hear that men go on podcasts and simply bash women. And here we have a great example of the opposite. We have a
Oh yeah, it
great
was great.
example of Cameron. I'm sorry?
I said, oh yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and I think that's why it should be highlighted. We have a
Hmm.
great example of Cameron staying cool, calm, and collective. We have a great example of Cameron standing up for his co-host. We have a great example of Cameron setting boundaries for his co-host. We have a great example of Cameron doing the right thing for his co-host, who is a woman, and letting the world know, really,
We don't
because
let
they could have edited all of that out.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, say it.
We're not gonna let you. We're not gonna let you or anyone else come up here and disrespect her and disrespect our space. Because it was disrespectful on a lot of different levels. The utmost is it was disrespectful to her. That's goes without saying. But imagine you sitting there, you invited this person to come on your show. And I mean for any of them that were sitting there that are a part of the show. You invite this person to come on your show. They sitting up there and you're telling them, we don't like that. You're disrespecting the house as far as I'm concerned. Like you not only disrespected that woman, you not only did not respect boundaries, but you sat there and you disrespected those people's place of business. While that is not at the tippy top of the list of disrespect, it is on the list.
Absolutely.
It's like to blatantly ignore that someone is saying to you, we don't like this. Then why do you get to be here?
Right.
Like Cameron giving him money, okay, fine. If it was in good faith, then it was in good faith. But honestly, he did not owe that man unless money was owed to him. He did not owe that man anything additional because he came in and he disrespected their show and he disrespected somebody on the show. Like it was I know some people won't see it like that. I know some people will probably say that, oh, he was complimenting her. So what? You that can make a person uncomfortable and you shouldn't have to feel uncomfortable in the place you work at.
Right. And you were told to stop.
And you were told to stop
Yeah.
politely.
This is not a dating show.
No.
Um, this is a sports show. We're here to talk about sports, and it's okay to say someone is attractive, but that's where it stops. Also,
Stop.
if you're too intoxicated to conduct yourself properly, then you shouldn't be there in the first place, which is
No.
what it looks like. Um, I just thought that this should be highlighted. I think Cameron did a great job.
He
This could
did.
have went a lot of different ways. Um,
What
and I
if a
think
man came
Cameron,
out of nowhere and ran up on him?
yeah, yeah, it could have went a lot of different ways. And so I just wanted to shout out Cameron, show Cameron some love, and show other podcasts and platforms that this can be done, and it can be done in a way
Yeah.
where it's respectful for all parties and does not end in any kind of lawsuit, physical harm, etc. And so I think in the midst of everything that's going on with Cameron, this needs to be highlighted because this show you Cameron is a stand-up dude and someone who's not going to let anyone come on his platform and disrespect his co-host. And that doesn't matter whether that's a man or a woman. He handled it properly.
Yeah, I agree. I think my co-host would do the same thing.
Yep,
I think he would have my back.
sure would.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be done. It was. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's how it's
Absolutely.
supposed to be done.
All right, what else we got?
Um,
Oh, yeah, I forgot. But now I remember.
Well,
I'm
Jimmy
good.
Kimmel. Jimmy Kimmel is suspended indefinitely. And there seems to be a lot of opinions why. A lot of people speaking out against what was said and not said. Um, so let's start with what was actually said. Um, it took a while to find it, but I found it. And so this comes from People. Um, these are all quotes I'm reading, just
Okay.
so we're clear. Jimmy Kimmel said, "We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang trying to characterize this kid who killed Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them," he said. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism, but on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this. Still reading from the article, it says Kimmel proceeded to show a clip of Trump responding to questions after the incident. I'm saying incident, it says another word, where a reporter offered condolences for the loss of his quote unquote friend. After being asked how he was holding up, Trump replied, quote, "I think very good. And by the way, right there where you see all the trucks, they just started construction on the new ballroom of the White House." The cameras then cut back to Kimmel, who said Trump was at the fourth stage of grief construction. Demolition construction, Kimmel said. Quote, "This was not how an adult grieves the ending of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish." Okay? That's the quote. And so there's more. I'm going to stop there. Um, because I can't read all of it, and really I don't want to read quote on top of quote on top of quote on top of quote, because there's a lot of things happening here. Um, so he was suspended indefinitely. Um, and so People has reached out to a couple of people, not a joke, for comments. And so some of that is probably worth putting here, discussing here.
Mhm.
So it's not necessarily in chronological order. So I just want to. Okay. So it says Jimmy Kimmel Live has not been officially canceled, but rather indefinitely pulled by Disney's ABC. A spokesperson for the company confirmed to People on September 17th. Nexstar Media, the largest local broadcast and digital media company in the U.S., with more than 200 television stations in 116 markets, told People in a statement that it, quote, owned and partnered television stations affiliated with the ABC television network will preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show. And so I just want to make sure that everybody understands what's going on here. It says in their statement to People, Nexstar said that the company, quote, strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk. Alford elaborated on Nexstar's decision in a statement to People, explaining that the company doesn't believe Kimmel's comments, quote, reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at the current time, and we have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move towards the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue. And Trump chimed in, saying that Kimmel was fired for a lack of talent.
So the FCC is clearly in support of removing Kimmel, right?
Yes,
And
Brendan Carr, FCC chairman, said uh, Kimmel's comments are a concerted effort to lie to the American people, and said the FCC was, quote, going to have remedies that we can look at.
Yeah, and I think even prior to, if I'm not mistaken, prior to Kimmel's remarks, this same person had put out a statement saying that they were basically saying that they were monitoring what
Yeah,
people were saying, and that there were going to be repercussions if they found that people were saying things that went against or did not speak about the deceased in a favorable manner.
right,
So I feel like they made good on their promise uh, by getting Jimmy Kimmel's show snatched, which since then, Sinclair Media has urged Jimmy Kimmel to apologize and also, I think, donate in the deceased's name or something like that in order to make it right and get his show restored. I'm purposely not saying his name. Um, so I think that's the latest. I think the latest was that he pushed back on that. I don't think he came out and
hmm
said he would do it, if I'm not mistaken. Um, Also to note here, one thing that I don't think came up with in what you read is that the administration is um, the Trump administration is in full support of this, and in fact, the president has put out his own statement in full support of this, and also letting us know that now that Kimmel and Colbert are out, the other two big late night hosts, are next. I think
yeah,
that's
correct.
pretty important, um, because on one hand, you guys are saying that he did something wrong. But then on the other hand, you guys are saying that it's a concerted effort to get rid of these people and their platforms. So which one is it? Because they weren't bothering anybody before. Like, and I think I'm not even speaking about whatever was said, but just in general, late night shows typically are comedic. They're typically
Yes,
satirical. They're meant to poke
yes,
fun of the matters of the day, of current events. And
yes,
that is the essence of late night talk. Um, that is why these people have been doing it for years. These are not jobs that anybody gets. These are very strategic. These are very seasoned people who are in these roles and have been for years, whether you like them or not. Um, it also allows for it also allows um thought it also allows for provocation, right? It allows you to think differently about the matters of the day. You know, we watch the news, we're getting a very serious perspective about what's going on. Or you I don't know, read a book or an article and it's a very specific sort of thing. This is meant to add some brevity to everything that goes on in the world from day to day. Unfortunately, I think
yeah,
a lot of people feel like what's going on in the world right now is very heavy. Um,
hmm
so that creates challenges for these guys, I think. But are we losing? We've talked about this already, but sounds very much like freedom of speech is not. Even us talking about this was like a whole debate on whether we should even discuss this topic because,
yes, that's true.
you know, yeah. What are your thoughts?
I was trying to find the quote, um, but I want to be clear. I cannot find the quote at the moment
Hmm.
because we're running out of time for the show. But Jimmy Kimmel, that's not the only thing he said about the person who passed away.
Oh, right. Okay, so I don't have a quote, but I can paraphrase. You're talking about what he initially said when it first happened.
Yeah, he was kind when it first happened.
He was kind. He was kind. He sent prayers and love to the family. And he also, he said it was a tragic event that happened. He said the things that someone would say in response to something like this happening. And that was whatever night it happened, he addressed it immediately. I mean, there wasn't anyone who couldn't address it, right? He addressed it
Right.
immediately and immediately was sympathetic to the family and all of that. Yes, that happened. I meant to mention that before. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
because
I don't
what's
even
being
have the quote.
highlighted.
Um,
No, you're right. What's being highlighted is I'm not going to keep looking. What's being highlighted is a very specific piece of the story, but it's not the whole story. More was said prior,
yeah.
and so I just want to be clear for those who don't know what happened. Although I cannot find the quote at this moment because it's time for us to end the show. Although what's being highlighted is a specific show and a specific quote, more to the story is available if you go and find it. Kimmel did not only say this about Charlie Kirk, he said other things, he said kind things. And so I think that that's an important piece that people are not highlighting.
Mhm.
Because really, if you know that, then you can see what happened is Kimmel was fired because he said things about the president, not about Charlie Kirk. Okay? He is making fun of and showing clips of Donald Trump in the show. He was making fun of Donald Trump. Let's be clear. So because of that, he was silenced, he was fired. And I think that needs to be highlighted for those who don't know what happened. Yes, is Charlie Kirk a part of that joke? Yes. The grieving of Charlie Kirk is the part of that joke. But he did not say bad things about Charlie Kirk in this segment. And he said kind things prior. So let's be clear about what happened. And what happened was a man was silenced for speaking about the president, for making jokes about the president. Something that, as my co host said, has been happening on late night shows since their inception. Presidents are made fun of, celebrities are made fun of, local news, current events are made fun of. That is part of the show. And so the man was fired for doing his job, whether you like it or not. That's what happened. And that is fucked up.
It's like
That
what's
should not
next?
be happening in this country. Right.
No. Yeah. No, you said it well. I think we can end it on
Yeah.
that note.
So I just want to be clear. Yeah, and that's fine. I just wanted to be clear because people are not, including a lot of the articles that we looked up, they do not all say what was said the night that the man passed away.
Hmm.
And that needs to be highlighted because that is an integral part of this story. Because it paints the picture that Jimmy Kimmel, without that piece, it paints the picture that Jimmy Kimmel was saying fucked up stuff, and that's the story. It's not the story. The story is the president was spoken out against and someone was fired. And that is not okay. And that's something that shouldn't be happening in this country. And that's the real story.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I don't have anything. I don't have anything else to say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Weeknights. Thank you for being here. We see y'all tomorrow.
Bye.